And this is the first part of the fashion guide for version 116.5. Here we go. I suggest starting the study of this fashion with this book. Her recipe is very simple, everyone can handle it. The book itself is a guide to this fashion and is divided into some sections. In each of the sections you can find useful information on subjects, blocks and recipes for creating. And we will look at the basics, namely the production of plastic. Plastic is the most important resource in this fashion. For the production of plastic, we will need a liquid extractor, it is on the left, and a latex production unit, it is on the right. Oh, I almost forgot. And here is such a generator that is needed for the production of RF energy, because both mechanisms work on RF energy and they need it to work. The liquid extractor is needed to produce the second mechanism, so we will make it first. That's his recipe. The recipe is basically simple, the only difficulty is caused by this frame. Well, he really is relatively light. Let's look at the interface. So, we have the RF energy filling scale. There is a status scale, it shows at what stage we have the production of our liquid latex. Accordingly, the tank where we will accumulate liquid latex. The maximum capacity is 1000 millibucks or 1 bucket. This mechanism makes liquid latex for us from wood, which stands in front of this black face. Let's go back to the interface. In addition to these three indicators, we have these buttons for controlling and configuring the mechanism. The first allows you to set up the side from which you will be pushed out, or placed inside, which is pointless, liquid latex. It's strange how the mechanism works if we don't have energy. Apparently the mod is buggy, because latex production has already begun and we have accumulated 38 units. Apparently the mod is under development. The next button shows you the working area of your mechanism. So, you see, I just broke this block of the DUP and we have this square highlighted here. Accordingly, liquid latex will be produced if it is here that we have a block. Let's hide it all. The next button allows us to configure the mode of operation of the mechanism from Reston. Now I have chosen the Ignore Reston mode. These 4 slots are needed in order to install such upgrades in them. Upgrades are divided into 2 types. Improved work efficiency and improved speed. They come in 2 levels, first and second. It is logical that the second one is better to put than the first one, right? Well, accordingly, if you have accumulated 1 bucket of 1000 millibucks here, you can put a bucket here and it will be remembered. To be honest, I don't understand how the mechanism works without energy, but let's at least put this generator here for decency and power it up. It works from any burning resources, and accordingly gives energy to the Russian Federation, and now our mechanism should work honestly. By the way, it works faster than if there was nothing in terms of energy. Finally, I waited for 1000 millibuckets. In fact, it's a very long wait. And this bucket is exactly what we need to create a latex production unit. Now I'll show you the craft, here it is. We will install the latex production unit next to our liquid extractor. Let's set it up right away so that he pushes this latex, so to speak, into our mechanism. Here we also have 3 buttons, choose the first one, which is signed latex. And here we are no longer pressing orange, but blue, just for the reception. Now we will have latex accumulating here. The latex production unit itself is needed to produce such small pieces of rubber. Here it is even written here, if you visit and show the craft. For its operation, latex itself, energy and water are needed, respectively. That's why a new button has already appeared here. This is the third button, it is responsible for which side we will have this little piece of rubber coming out of when it is produced. For slots, respectively, for upgrades and a bucket slot. Well, we also have a redstone control button. I poured latex and water, brought the energy, everything was crafted, everything works. Once you have accumulated 9 such small pieces, you can make one big one. And if we fry it in the oven, we will get our first plastic. Prampapam, our first plastic is ready. Learn more about improvements or upgrades. There are 3 of them in total. In those mechanisms, we inserted just the same 2, namely for speed and efficiency. Here you can see in percentages how effective the first shooting range and the second. Well, and accordingly for speed, here we have the number of progress units shown in one tick. Accordingly, the second level has 2 additional ones. And this is a new upgrade, it increases the scope of your mechanisms. In those 2 mechanisms, an upgrade to the scope of action will not be inserted, but in this one even as, click Show Scope. So, this is our first level. Just so you understand what the difference is between the first level and the most recent 12th. Just look at what area this mechanism captures. And of course, his craft is terribly beautiful. And we are now going to talk in more detail about this mechanism that allows you to make these crafts. Dissolution Champion. That's the kind of craft he has, quite expensive, require diamonds, frames and 2 units of plastic and even gold. Let's move on to the interface. In fact, it is not complicated. So here we have an energy indicator, for buttons to adjust the input-output of a certain object or liquid. The blue one is responsible for items, the green one for liquids, which can also participate in crafting. Orange, respectively, for the output of our already made items, and purple for the output of liquid, which we may end up with. This lock here, if we press it, it allows us to lock the crafting window. Crafting here is formless, it is not necessary to lay out in any particular sequence. Here I'll show you all the crafting now, I do it with the help of a third-party Fashion J. It allows you to view all the crafts that are used. So, you see here we use latex in crafting. Accordingly, there are 4 slots for installing improvements for speed and efficiency. The range of operation is not necessary here, but also the control of the rest signal. Let's craft something for decency. So, let's throw sugar here, here is the height, a little bit of this and 2 gears. I placed the craft not as it is shown here as you can see, but nevertheless it started. Here we have already loaded latex and that's it. That's how this workbench works, friends. And this was the first part of the software guide. In the following I will tell you about all kinds of mechanisms and generators, and also about useful things from this mod.